Hey guys, welcome back. And today I'm going to be giving you guys some big cube last two center tips. And I think the best way to do that is to get through with examples. So I'll be doing a couple of examples for each of them. And so I just want to get a few things out of the way first. First thing, I hope everyone knows what a commutator is. So a commutator while doing centers is just, so say I'm doing green and yellow are my last two centers. Then I see this green here and it's yellow here. So I have only one piece left on each and I just need to swap them. So the way you swap those is by using a commutator, and it's a very simple alg. So you can basically set up everything to this, or a middle center or another wing. So if you get it like this, you can do this and then get that spot here where you replace this piece with it and then get it back and then replace it with the same edge. So what you do there, I'll have the algorithm written down here, but yeah, so that's basically a commutator, and this is basically a prerequisite for this video. You need to know how to do commutators, and yeah, that comes with practice. So that works for all of them, and for 5x5 we mostly don't need to use commutators, but yeah, like, so if you have this for 5x5, if you have something like this for 5x5, you don't have to use commutators. You can just do R and U moves, just build blocks. But stuff like that doesn't work on 6x6 and 7x7, which is why we use commutators. So that's one thing. And the next thing I want to get out of the way is you mostly want to aim to make your inner bars first, but it's not always necessary. So it depends on the case, and I'll give a few examples of that soon. So yeah, and mostly with commutators you'll only have to use one commutator at any time. You mostly won't have to use more than one. So try to reduce the number of times you use a commutator. I'll give you an example for that too. And during your last two centers, you need to look ahead like pretty well, because it's a good transition phase into your edges. And if you can look ahead for the entirety of your last two centers, then the transition is going to be smooth. And if I had to recommend anything for getting better at last two centers, I would say do untimed solves where you just focus only on centers. So just keep scrambling the cube, solving only centers and then scrambling again. So yeah, now I'll be getting into the examples. So I'm going to be starting off with 7x7, and I'm just finishing up my first four centers. Here I'm at my last two centers, and I see instantly that I have this green bar here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do green first, and I'm going to solve this bar like this. Now once that's done, I am going to do that, and I am going to do this. So basically I have this green bar, but I also want to get my middle bar done with, because I prefer to have my middle bar solved first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert this piece here like so, and then I'm going to reinsert the green bar. So that solves that. And then I see this center and these two. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pair this with this first, RU2, and R prime will get that back. So that pairs all of them. And then I see that this piece can pair well here. So just a second. Yeah, so I will get this piece like that and just insert it. And then I see that I can solve, so I see these three and I see this corner. So I can solve it like that. And now, so basically now instead of inserting this and then having to do a commutator for the center edge, what I can do is I can pair this center edge with these two using a simple trigger. So the trigger is M prime U to M. And the reason M prime U to M works is M prime gets this up, this middle bar. U2 does absolutely nothing to it because it's symmetric about that axis. And then when you get it back, you've got that paired. So you just insert that, that's it. And yeah, now on to my last line, this bar. So if you go about it normally, if you insert this, now I'll have to do one commutator here and then another commutator for this piece to go here. So instead of doing all that, I can use this M prime U to M thing to my advantage. And basically, as I mentioned before, you won't have to do more than one commutator. So what you can do is you can set up this opposite to one of the edges, do your M prime U to M, and that pairs them. And then you can just solve it like a normal thing, and you'll have only one commutator left, and that's it. So yeah, that's this first 7x7 example. And honestly, I really recommend you guys to explore more, because 7x7 centers are super flexible. and the most efficient solution quite often can be found on your own by just experimenting a lot. So yeah, keep experimenting. So next I'll be moving on to 6x6. Okay, so I'm almost at my last two centers here. Just gonna finish off white. And so I instantly see this block for yellow and also this, and I know I can pair these with wide R, or actually L F2 L prime. But there's something really good about this case, which is this block. So what you can do is, instead of going ahead and making the inner bars first, like I would recommend you to start with the inner bars, but you know, there's cases like this where you really have to go out of the way to solve them, because there's no point in going with my inner bars here because of something so nice. So I have this this block, and this 2x1, these two. What I can do is I can pair it with this and do an F2 and get it back, and that just made a whole 2x4. Like, that is just insane, because you very rarely get that in solves. And now the next thing I see is these, so I will just go ahead and solve that. And then so yeah, this is just an RU prime, but you can cancel into the commutator because you would just get this RU prime for the commutator. And yeah, but for 6x6, so there's this other thing. Let me see if I can set it up. Okay, so here's the case I wanted to show, and here what we have is, we have a possibility to make this center middle line by doing that and inserting it. But you know, there's something really nice. So what you could do is, you have this corner and you have this line. So basically you can insert this to make the outer bar first, and now when you have this, so there's a neat trick. Instead of doing this and inserting it and then having to do a comm later on, what you can do is use the back and do this. Now you've paired that up. Agreed, you've broken this, but what you can do is just rotate and insert blue back there. So it's like, picture this as a 2x2 case. So just insert it back there, and then once you do that, you can just go ahead and insert this. So that's a very neat trick I found on 6x6, and so yeah, you'll find these kind of tricks just by exploring. So I really recommend you guys to just do centers and find what's best for you, because what I find may not always suit you. So yeah, I'm just going to move to 5x5 now, which should be quite simple. So I'm just finishing up my first 4 centers right now. And okay, so right off the bat, so we already have this solved, this middle bar. And the good thing about 5x5 is, if you've solved this middle bar, the rest of it can almost be one looked basically, because so you see this bar and you see you need a corner there, which is right here. So you can literally just do a U prime, L prime, UL will solve a bar here, and then that will bring this corner here. So once this corner is here, you can just do a U2 and do a Sun. So I did that, U2. And now this case is very easy for 5x5. You should know this trick. It's just you pair it with RU R prime, insert it with U2 R prime. So it effectively becomes a Sun. And yeah. So that's that. And for 5x5, I don't really think there's any neat tricks, because the thing about 5x5 is there's so few pieces to solve, especially for last two centers, right? You have very few pieces to solve. And cases like this, you can just figure out the fastest way to do them because of a lot of exploration. Like even this one, I've seen a lot of people solve this case in very weird ways, because they'll do this, then they'll pair it up and all that. But you could just insert the corner in first and then just pair it and insert it. It's 7 moves. So yeah, I really recommend you guys to explore like a lot and work more on efficiency especially, and even on look ahead. So yeah. Right, so to summarize, I would say for 7x7 you can do a lot of just pure center solves. Walk yourself through them, find the most efficient ways you can, and later on focus on pairing your bars without looking. So you should be able to visualize the solutions in your head and then do them, and eventually you'll be able to find the most efficient solutions on your own. So yeah, that's my advice for 7x7. For 6x6, always look for the most efficient bar, actually even for 5x5. So don't always go with the inner bars. 7x7, to an extent you can go with the inner bars, but then at some stage, like once you get sub 320, sub 330, around that area, you're gonna need to like step up your game, and you're gonna really have to look for the most efficient bars possible. It's not always gonna be inners and then the outers. So yeah, that's for 7 by 7. Anyway, 5 and 6, so yeah, don't go only for the inner bars. Go for whatever bar is easiest and most efficient to make, and try to set up your next bars in such a way that you can solve it much easier and more efficiently. And 5 by 5, seriously, if you do enough of 6 by 6 and 7 by 7, 5 by 5 is pretty much a joke, because it's really simple, very very simple. It's very like this is all you have to solve for last two centers. It's really simple. And yeah, I recommend, for especially considering inspection time, for 7 by 7 in your inspection you should be able to find at least 2 bars. If not completely solve them in your head, at least look at them and know where they're going to land so you can jump right to them. For 6 by 6, I would say I've noticed something for 6 by 6, most scrambles actually have an outer bar at least like a move or two away or already made. So you have to use that to your advantage in 6 by 6 and see one whole inner bar at least. If not, if you find anything else, it's fine, but it's just, yeah, best recommendation. And for 5 by 5, the whole center. You should be able to see your whole center for 5 by 5, hands down every scramble. But if there are some very weird retarded scrambles, so I guess you could give yourself some sort of concession for those kind of scrambles. But I'd still say for 5 by 5, try your best to know exactly where each centerpiece is going to land. And it's usually not that tough. Make sure you're color neutral for all of these, unless you do Yao. And I do not support Yao personally, but yeah, I know a lot of people who do Yao and are good at it. So unless you do Yao, make sure you're color neutral with which center you start with. That way you can choose the best center for you. And yeah. So that's all the advice I have to give for these, and especially last two centers. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks a lot for watching, and continue grinding because it's quarantine time. This is literally the best time. Thanks for watching. Bye.